I still remember that night vividly. I was sitting in the living room, a cup of tea resting in my hands, untouched. My fingers shook, and my chest tightened with a mix of dread and shame. For months, I had been hiding something from my husband, and the weight of that secret grew heavier by the day. I knew if I didn't finally come clean, it would consume me and tear apart the trust between us. He walked in later than usual, looking worn from work, yet still carrying that gentle, reassuring smile he always gave me. I stared at him, wondering how that expression would change once I spoke the truth. Would it vanish forever? Would he leave without ever turning back? My throat closed up at the thought, but I forced myself to sit him down. The truth could no longer stay buried. "I need to tell you something," I whispered, my eyes fixed anywhere but on him. His brow furrowed slightly, sensing the weight in my tone. "It's important." The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. He nodded for me to go on, but my lips trembled. For a split second, I wanted to stay silent again. But I couldn't. The confession spilled out slowly, like tearing open a wound I had kept covered too long. I admitted the mistakes I had made, the lies I had told, and the guilt that had followed me for months. My voice cracked, and before long, tears streaked my face. Each tear felt like another reason for him to hate me. He didn't interrupt. He just sat there quietly, listening, his expression unreadable. That silence frightened me more than any angry outburst could. When I finally finished, my voice was barely audible. "I'm so sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, but I couldn't hide this from you anymore." The silence stretched on, pressing down on me until I could hardly breathe. I didn't dare look at him, terrified of the disappointment I'd see. Then he leaned back and drew in a slow breath. "I already had my suspicions," he said evenly. My stomach dropped. "But I needed to hear it from you, and now you finally told me." His voice wasn't sharp or cold. It was steady. That steadiness made me cry harder. I couldn't understand why he wasn't shouting, why he wasn't walking out the door. When I finally raised my eyes, I expected to see someone shattered. Instead, I saw a man holding himself together, weary but still soft in ways I didn't deserve. I asked through tears, "How can you even look at me after this?" He sighed, shaking his head gently. "Because I still love you." Those words hit me like a wave. "I won't pretend it doesn't hurt," he continued. "And I can't just forget overnight. But I know who you are beyond your mistakes. I know the life we built. I know your heart, even when you lost your way." That broke me completely. My sobs filled the room, and he pulled me into his arms. The embrace wasn't strong as before, but it was still there, proof he hadn't let go yet. It felt like a second chance I didn't deserve, but was being given anyway. The days after weren't easy. Broken trust doesn't heal in an instant. We had long talks, some through tears, others through silence. There were moments I feared he would change his mind and leave. But he stayed. Because forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about choosing to move forward despite it. He showed me every day, not in promises but in actions, that love can endure mistakes if both people were willing to fight for it. I poured myself into regaining his trust, proving my confession was not our ending but the beginning of something more honest. It demanded patience, humility, and persistence. I had to rebuild what I had damaged, while he had to release the bitterness that lingered. Slowly, we found our rhythm again. One evening, months later, I looked up at him across the dinner table. He smiled at me the way he used to. That smile told me everything, that despite all, his heart had chosen forgiveness. In that moment, I realized how rare and precious his love truly was. I will never forget the pain I caused, but I will also never forget the grace he gave me. My confession could have ended our marriage, but instead, it became the turning point that made us stronger. He forgave me, and I vowed never to take that gift for granted again.